I'd like to welcome everyone to the conversation where we talk about everything Cowboys. My favorite team, your favorite team, America's team. Here with your host, Coach Marv.
Happy New Year, Cowboy Nation. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year for all the people out there in Cowboy land, all the people out there that we have brought into 26, man. Thank you for being here, man. I'm thankful for being able to get through the 25 year and into the 26 year, even though uh, things didn't work out the way we want to work out for our Cowboys. But we are grateful that we are here and we got to see a great football season. And we still got a one great game to go. And we hope we could be very competitive in that last game of the season. Just wanted to stop in very quick. Got some New Year's celebration. Watching some two of great college. Maybe not as much exciting people as people want to say, but watched a very exciting game yesterday in college football. Watched a very exciting game. Even it was a not both of the all these games is um, great football that's being played. I mean, it's not as the greatest offense that's going, but it's showing you basically what is really real in winning football and what's quote the fantasy stuff that they talk about in football that a lot of people want to that a lot of people want to put out there, but it's not the real stuff when you talk about uh, football. But we're seeing what's really real good about football is about as I always say defense win championships, and if you can't play defense into a very physical manner, you're gonna lack in this game, and you're seeing that in these college games. You'll see the hitting in the secondary when guys are getting tackled. It's some hitting going on out there, not just the front line. And when you get into playoff football and this type of atmosphere, you're starting to see that not only in these games here, but you're seeing that in the NFL when you get into better games. You don't see guys that's playing a finesse type of defense. They're really getting after it, and they're making it tough for guys to make plays offensively. And the defenses are really controlling the game, but the offenses are coming along to be just have to be efficient and tough and grinding and not back down from the physical play of the defense. And if you don't back down from the physical play of defense and throw some blows right back, you can make some plays. But it's a very good, tough game. You're talking about games that are being teams are not scoring in the first half. Guys, the teams have been scoring all year long. But when you get into better games, you got to bring defensively. And if you don't bring defense in the better games, you're not. If you think you're going to outscore people, and if you go in there saying, "Well, our offense can overrun people because we got weapons," defense is a weapon. Um, and I'm gonna come out. That's gonna be one of my shirts that I'm gonna come out with. Defense is a weapon, and listen, teams are showing you that in spades now that defense is a weapon, and but we'll talk a little bit more about that right at the end because I'm watching some great games. But the the topic of this is there's some lot of stuff that's going on, and I wanted to mention what Clark from the Green Bay, the defensive tackle that we got from Green Bay, Clark, mentioned what he thought about the team. And we got a lot of people, I hear that word dogs. I hear that word dogs, and some people get that we need those guys to go out there and be mean and the dogs. let's give you a little history on where Clark came from. Clark came from Green Bay. And do y'all remember what Green Bay said before the game when they played us in the playoff game? They kept saying that we were front runners. See, front runners are not dogs. They're guys that play when it's convenient. And when it's getting to tight situations, they shy away. Tyler Smith mentioned something a couple of days ago when he said about those moments when we got to get those first downs. About the good, hey man, thank you, darling. Happy New Year to you too, darling. But Tyler Smith mentioned something too when he says about those moments that can make a break, and he was talking about those tough moments when you got to get those tough yards, and he talked about that. What have I been talking about since day one about, and I've been saying it ain't been about talent. I've been saying since day one, if anybody knows Coach Marv and been following Coach Marv said it ain't about talent, it's about what's in between the two ear holes of that helmet. Because the talent different, and Clark spoke of them himself. I've been saying for the longest, the talent different is not, it's not no different from very small difference between the talent level from the worst team to the best team. Because they're NFL players. But it's about who has the mentality and has a collection of guys that are on the same page, and you got a mentality culture to be able to compete. Even when you have injuries, you still able to compete. You got injuries, you still stay at the top. You're still going to be a factor. Because the backup guys, talent wise, they're not far away from the guys that starting. But what we have here in Dallas, we got I'm about to get in trouble. Now, please don't unsubscribe with me. And let me put my brand up here because I want to make sure y'all know about like, comment, and subscribe because we want everybody to do that. You know, we have in Dallas, we got a fan base that feels that we need to go and get players and get this guy and get that guy names, not fit. See, it's a difference between getting a name and getting people that fit what you want. I want us to go out this year and when we go looking, I want Schottenheimer and this organization to get guys that fit. And sometimes the fit is not always the popular name. Because I think you got enough top level superstars. I don't think you need a bunch. I think you need to get a good fit of players. So what was Clark saying when he said dogs? Did y'all really listen to the whole thing? Because the only thing y'all heard is dogs. And you know, he said in that thing, he said, we need guys that just, you know, do the right thing on and off the field and is dedicated to football. Ooh, that's dogs. See, we don't need a bunch of guys that's on the back end worried about brand. We need a bunch of guys that's dedicated to doing their job at a particular rate and in love with football. We need fans that are in love with football. Because guess what? Everybody talking about, listen to this, and I want to throw this out there to you, and I want you to understand why all your starters are playing against Washington and why most of them going to be playing against the Giants. This is a test about who playing and got the grit because they just love competition. See, the ones that want to check out, they say, well, there ain't no need to play because we ain't in, we in that. Let's go ahead and get a draft pick. Those are guys that you got to think. See, the toughest thing for a coach to do when you're trying to put a mentality of a player, a team together. Now I'm giving you some coaching stuff. The toughest thing they got to do is to be able to find the imposters that act like that they all in, that they all about football, but when the time gets near, they're all up somewhere about themselves, or they only in it when they're on top. And they're not going to be in it as full gun ho. Are you going to get 53 guys as gun ho? No. But the majority has to be there. And the ones that's teetering on the second string and third string, they got to love football because they are important. And if the second and third string don't love football, they can take away from the guys that's at the top. Don't y'all see all the time when you watching your superstars, the supporting cast, if they really locked in, they make your superstars look better? See, locked in is how we're going to be locked in, and when we need to go out against the Giants and come out and say we're ending the season, how we going to start. And this doesn't start off, but we have to get, Shotton have to find out how we got competitive guys, regardless of what the situation is. Their competitive nature says, hey, man, this team ain't beat us in seven. I'm talking about the Giants. This team ain't beat us in 17 games. You think I'm ready to go out here and let them get off the hook for beating up and break the streak against me? That's where Clark is talking about when he's talking about dogs. He's talking about competitive nature. Guys that are willing to dig in between each other and be competitive. Guys that's not listening to the soap opera talk out there and all this stuff. I got people out there telling me, talking about, and I'm not know what they're gonna do with this. But film tells me if you listen, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of people jumped out. You cut Terrence Steele, and every team in the NFL will be ready at his doorstep. He ain't gonna find it hard to find a job at all because of the fact we watch game after game and we don't talk about it. We go play after play and nobody talk about it. When he make a mistake, then we start, oh, Terrence did it. But we look, there's a lot of plays in there that he dominates people. Is he all pro? Is he gonna be a Hall of Famer? No. But I remember a guy named Doug Free that was here. See, y'all don't know, a lot of them remember Doug Free. Doug Free was not a Pro Bowler. He went through the same stuff there Terrence Steele went through because Doug Free wasn't no top right draft pick. I'm trading for what? I'm trying to figure. Tell me where his film looks totally horrible, and compared to other tackles, and did come back. We listen here. We say a guy give up a pressure. The only thing we gonna hear was PFF stats, and everybody know If we go and watch PFF stats and go back to see what they grading on, I guarantee we wouldn't agree with that. This this what kills me about when they talk about offensive line. This offensive line gave up 30 sacks this whole year. I think Dak got sacked 30 times. As much and he threw his attempts was higher. This is one of the highest in the league. And I ain't never seen no game where Dak just couldn't get off passes, and it was like where the offense just torn down because we can't. And then if you take up out those 30 sacks, I would guarantee you about 10 of them, 11 of them was covered sacks. And Tyler Guyton, listen, man, when you go against Max Crosby and you allow no pressures, he can play left tackle. When you look at a guy that has dominant games at left tackle, and then he has some hiccups, then we say he can't, and we forget first year starting, basically it's rookie year. But our thing is that there's no, and then when I keep trying to tell people, there's no way in the total hell that you have a top ranked offense, 1,000-yard rusher, 2,000-yard receivers, and don't have a good offensive line. Matter of fact, your offense is better than Philadelphia offense. And they say they got the best offensive line. I would say this year, our offensive line is better than theirs. Now somebody gonna say, oh, no. No, I ain't say their defense was better. But our offensive line is better than the Philadelphia offensive line this year. But what we do is a collection of guys, Tyler's what name first year, really Tyler Guyton first year, BB first year really starting at center. And if you look at it, some of the same hiccups that we talking about Terrence Steele, let's go look at the film, baby. You're gonna see Tyler Smith had them same type of hiccups. But you know what we do? We overlook it. Tyler Smith struggled a little bit at left tackle. And he struggled some at guard this year. But I understand that you're going to have some struggles. It's about the collective of the group. Williams ran the ball well. Dak threw the ball well. I think sometimes, and I always say about our sometimes where we get. I told people this. I told him when we let Tony Pollard go, and when his play wasn't bad, and we were just looking for something else, and we didn't give him the opportunity. I told you, if you take Tony Pollard on one of the worst teams in the league, and the way he's playing, if Tony Pollard was on this team, he'll have 1,600 yards. And he gonna play, bruised up or not. I remember now. Some of y'all ain't gonna remember this, and I'm finna say something that's gonna make a lot of people upset. I remember when they used to do film talking about Jordan Lewis should be sitting. And I remember Corey defending Jordan Lewis, and we was on this thing about Jordan Lewis, and he was the whipping boy. Tell me if I'm wrong. He was the whipping boy. And I was telling people then, Man, Jordan Lewis don't look that bad. What y'all talking about? But every time somebody might have got a catch on him, we judged him, Jordan Lewis, like nobody's supposed to get a catch. And if they got a catch, even though he was in good coverage, they started whipping boy. I remember that. Go back and think about it. And he was whipping boy. And he went on someplace else to do. See, I knew we gonna lose that. Guess what else? DeMarcus Lawrence was a whipping boy. Because we talking about he get paid, he supposed to get 15 sacks. And DeMarcus Lawrence was making plays like crazy. But you know what people were saying? He ain't all that. DeMarcus Lawrence getting paid. We was glad to get with, but I told people that you're gonna miss it. Because when I watch film, I watch a consistent guy to do something. But we looking for splash, and we wanna get this exact same thing. You mess around with Terrence Steele, you're gonna regret that. And guess what? We're gonna be very good for him because we started to say something because we want to hop on something. But when guys have good games, really dominant games, we're waiting for the guys to make. Now the guy's gonna be you got off Diggs. Bland, you're right. Bland's a new target. Know why they the new target? Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why Cowboy fans what this is. Know why this is? Let me tell you why. Soon as you get paid in Dallas, you become the enemy. Before you get paid, you become the hero. But when you get your dollars, then you become the enemy. Jordan Lewis signed a free agent contract, even though he only signed a 1-year contract, but he signed. Anytime he signed to come back, now you the enemy. You the whipping boy. Bland is whipping boy. Because if you get a couple of balls caught on him, that ain't good enough now. He can make plays, but a couple of passes, now we expect him to guard guys and nobody ever catch the ball on him. That's what we expect. Other teams don't do that because they understand this keep playing. There's some other plays. He can go 4 or 5 games. He went against Jefferson. Every time Jefferson was against him when he played Minnesota, he was shutting Jefferson down. He get a couple of passes against because when Jefferson get a couple of passes caught with other team, they attack the other guys with Jefferson. But then another game, he have a couple of pass catch on, and then we talking about Harvard. We need to cut it. Same thing with Terrence Steele. He went against Max Crosby too. Shut him down. There's been games where he have had great games, but we have a hiccup. We say, oh, it wasn't a bad game. It wasn't that something happened. We automatically say, let's go because we want all pro guys. And we the ones that caused the friction that mess around to get him out of here. I guarantee you had Tony Pollard here. He'll have 1,700 yards. And would do all the dirty work that you want to do. And I'm not saying Williams wouldn't have been bad. No. But we get and we run. Listen, y'all talking about the what name? Nashawn Wright. When Nashawn Wright got on the field and got a catch on him, we ripped him to pieces talking about we need to go get a veteran corner. He just had a guy to get a catch on him. Every time he got a guy to get a catch on him, it was an underneath pattern or a stop pattern. We talking about he getting cooked. Let me give you some info, people. If they want to throw a stop pattern on you or it was a quick slant in its own time and whatever, Deion Sanders ain't going to stop that. Nashawn Wright wasn't getting nobody burning him deep. He was just getting some passes caught on him. But you know, as soon as a guy get a couple passes, oh man, he getting cooked. Get up. You go, listen, he getting passes caught on him in Chicago, but he making some plays. He's hanging in there because they understand that happens. But what we do is if we lose a game, our expectations is so crazy. We expect guys don't even supposed to get a catch on them. Same thing now, we killing Osa. Now, Osa done had some bad games, but he done had some damn good ones too. Clark had some good games, but Clark had some bad ones in Carolina as well. But this is what I say about bad teams. And this is what Clark is talking about. Clark is talking about having the mentality of not always pointing the finger. See, bad teams and bad uh, fan base always want to point fingers. Good teams and good fan base get together and say, "Hey, you got to play better and play through it." Championship mentality, man. Championship winning organizations don't go around trying to point fingers at everybody. They go about saying, "Hey, man, well, we need to do better. What I need to do better." And they go around trying to build unity. What we try to do is go around and separate everybody. Same thing with Rico. Nobody liked what Rico was doing because it didn't equate when we didn't win. And that's what I'm trying to stay with y'all. That's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to say when it comes to is that and church. There's a lot of guys there's a lot of guys that get that's getting paid to get it's not worth 20 million. But I guarantee you put listen. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you a good example, and I know this for a fact. You know what? That they got Osa got his deal before he even got on the market because he was gonna get $20 million from somebody in this NFL. But what we're looking for is all world numbers. But when you look at the tackles for loss, tackles, only thing I say Osa got one problem is that sometimes he don't get reined in, and I think sometimes we allow him. You can see certain games where he started to get loosey goosey and trying to run around blocks and try to make great plays instead of being solid. Then he come back the next game and be solid, and then he's okay. I just think Ken Law, Ken Law ain't nowhere close to Osa. For one, Ken Law he can't even practice a whole week. And you know where the D tackle from the Patriots came from? You talking about the D tackle? You know, one of the D tackles came from the Patriots. One of the D tackles for the Patriots, I forget his name. That's one of the guys that was dominant for Philadelphia last year, and they signed him into a free agent contract. And he came from nowhere, and he was one of the best. Matter of fact, the guy that signed for the Patriots had a better year than Clark the year they won the Super Bowl. You know why he had a better year than Clark when he won the Super Bowl? Because when Dick Fangio came in, he had one of the best defensive line coaches in the league. They had to get him from Tennessee, and they had to pay him big money. But everybody gave Clark the the kudos, but it was the other guy that was the dominant guy, and somebody found him out. And I think, listen, I think and when you on the free market, that's that's what you pay. I think here it is. I don't even think, and if you look at Osa deal, Osa's not getting $20 million. That's the average per year. and I keep trying to tell y'all this. Average Osa contract is around about 15, 16, because he got a 3 year out. His take his guaranteed money again, divide that by the years of the contract. That tells you his true APR. They love the NFL, and I want to say this, and I got a show coming up again, but I'm gonna spit it again. I'm gonna tell y'all again why the NFL likes to push the larger APR and talk about what's it out of per year. The NFL likes when you say that Osa is $20 million a year. They like for you to say that. But if you take his guaranteed money and divide it, it's around about $15 million a year or 13, $14 million a year. That's what it is. The reason why the NFL likes for you to say $20 million because they need to try to find out how they compete with the mega contracts of the NBA and the baseball. Because when a baseball contract is 5 years, $200 million, that's what it is, $40 million a year. So they want to make it look like the NFL players are getting the same type of money that the NBA and the baseball players, but that ain't the case. Yeah, and if you look at Osa numbers, man, they ain't bad for a defensive tackle. Well, they ain't bad for a defensive tackle, and the reason why I say his numbers would probably be even better because, and I do disagree with this, and I got one problem with this. He's still only playing 57% of the snaps. And if you look at his stats for 57%, and if he plays 70% of the snaps, you probably see a whole lot more different numbers. 57% of the snaps is very hard. Anybody at 57, I think he averaged 57% is when he's been there. 57% of the snaps, it's very hard to get. If Aaron Donald had 57% of the stats, he wouldn't have got no 27 20 sacks. That's hard. That's half of the snaps. So if your defense is good and they going like 55, 56 plays, or let's say the defense going like 60 plays, you talking about 27 plays, 28 plays. That's crazy. So you got to get those snaps up. Um, yeah. So and then you got this a total crazy. And I don't think the defensive line is was the problem. I think again, as I've been watching football, and what Clark is telling you, Clark is talking about guys being dedicated to football, and we gotta be able to see that, man. We need football guys. And this is why I think that this game is important. That's why I think about who's competitive enough gonna go out there and really compete. Who's gonna go out here and really compete? And I think we can do that. Um, and we got to get that type of competitive nature. And I hope, and I want to finish up, man. And y'all some really cool man coming in, man. But I want to point out to something. If y'all want to win championships, if we got Cowboy Nation out there want to win championships, are we watching football in the last what we've been seeing in the NFL in these tight games in the NFL and what we've seen in this college football playoffs? Aren't we seeing that it's not about stars, it's about a collective amount of guys on defense that's really playing tough and physical? And I know y'all love George Pickens, and I know y'all love CD Lamb. And when I say this, somebody gonna look at this and gonna say, no, y'all must be crazy. What you're telling me is, nah, coaches are talking about we shouldn't sign CD Lamb. I mean, George Pickens. No, I could. It's a team that could take Foreign Noah, CD Lamb, the tight ends we got, without George Pickens, and win a Super Bowl. Because you're gonna go as far as your defense today. If your defense is stout enough, you're watching Philadelphia You watching Philadelphia just have pathetic offense, and they had a number one defense for the last 2 years, and they're probably going to be in contention to win a game, a super. Yeah, but it's not the sexy thing. And right, you're right. We got a lot of DTs, and they like, and the reason why we got a lot of DTs because our defensive line coach likes to do a rotation. He likes to play a lot of different guys. And listen, I ain't got no problem with that. They put this together. They put this defense together because they knew this defensive line could be together for 2 years. They already knew that. They didn't listen when they traded for Quinn Williams. They already knew his contract. They knew how it would fit. They knew they were gonna be able to keep Quinn Williams and Clark. See, they ain't telling you, man. Look back at the deal when they signed Clark. When they traded for Clark, not only did the Green Bay give them 2 first-round draft picks, they played some of his Clark signing bonus, which made Clark a very low cap hit for this year and next year. But see what we got people looking at, they're looking at the average per year for Clark, and they're using the APR, but they're not looking where they told you with them playing the converting, they're paying some of the signing bonus so he can fit. The Cowboys got Clark at a low cap hit for the next 2 years, this year and next. Quinn Williams' contract is probably in a place where you can probably spread his contract and push a void year in there where his contract will not be that big of a and not a massive cap hit. Osa can in the first year of his contract, you can kick the switch on him like they always gonna do and drop him. But where we're looking at is, oh, the average per year for those guys is $20 million per year per. Look at the breakdown of the contract and the cap hit, people, and then you will see. But the Cowboys ain't gonna tell you that. You think they traded for this guy and had this and with these two guys and they couldn't fit them in salary cap with Cap Steven. So you think they traded him and they go be in cap hell? No, man, they already knew it was gonna work. Now, our secondary ain't no dogs. Yeah, that's what he's talking about. And nobody ain't no dogs because you let guys like Elam play back there for 6, 7 weeks. And I'm gonna say this again. Yeah, see what I'm talking about, man? His contract is easy to rework because he got the same kicker in there. And with them playing the $12 million, they say 12 million. Listen, there was listen. Let me say this about Diggs. Diggs was gonna be okay. Let me explain something about my contracts. Y'all know. Diggs was gonna be a cap hit anyway. But that 12 million they saving, he would have been an $18 million cap hit for the next year. They're gonna save 12 million by cutting on him. They right? They're not saving 12 extra dollars because he had gotten all his guaranteed money this year. It's fictitious money that they're saving off the cap. The $18 million is just the part that you got to put towards your the cap number is not money that's going to Diggs. And then they can cut it down to 12 million because they can try to spread over so they're gonna save 12 million. So he'll be a $6 million cap hit. But Diggs ain't getting none of that money. His money, his guaranteed money is going on. That's a fictitious number. That's the accounting number where we can spread it, push it here, push that. That's the accounting number. That's not no money that's coming out of their pocket. That's why they was so gun ho they could just release Diggs and be that way because the money was gone. So they like, wait a minute. Listen, for Diggs, and listen, I'm not bad to say about Diggs. I'm going on record again. I would have never came back and played the last couple games. And Diggs was smart. Yes, Diggs did some jacked up stuff. Yeah, because he wanted to be cut. Because he knew they weren't gonna bring him back anyway. And all y'all sitting here talking about, well, this man, listen, they did Diggs a favor. If y'all team Diggs, y'all should be like, good man, I'm glad they did this that way because he was not gonna play here no more. And anybody's talking about, well, we could have played him. Listen, man, the Cowboys invested a lot of money into Diggs, and he missed half of the games after the investment. That's not smart business to keep investing into something. Just say, okay, if he continues to play well someplace else, fine. But let somebody else take that chance. And if people can't see that, then y'all really not y'all thinking in D's colored eyes and so on. I think D's got a break. He not only picked up, now he's picked up at a poo-poo contract, because remember, I told you the back end of that contract is poo-poo. But now he's gotten a chance to go into practice at Green Bay and to show them that he's healthy, maybe get a chance to play in the playoff game, and maybe all right. And then he got a chance to say, hey, now I can get some more guaranteed money because y'all might give me a chance. That's good. I'm not I'm not worried about him playing because I know you can get other defensive backs, man. Why we so hung up? See, this is crazy. We good to get rid of guys that's being productive here that they hadn't given up on. But we gonna hold on to Diggs. I like Diggs. I know Diggs got some things he got to get straightened out in his life. I know that for a fact. And I hope being in Green Bay helps him. Because being in Dallas, it wasn't helping him. Being in Green Bay might be the best thing for Diggs. And I'm not worried about the Cowboys. I'm worried about what Diggs needs for the young man, because I want to see the young man succeed. 7 years, it, he had some great years. The last 3, 4 years has been tough. But I hope he can win. And we got to move on. And our fan base got to move on. Wish him the best. Yeah, we can listen. We can either get listen. He can either go get free agent cornerbacks, or we can develop the guys we got, like the other good teams are doing. And I hate to use this team because I hate them. San Francisco. They let two of their good corners go. Remember the good corners they had? They had some good corners. They let them go. Some guys that had some names. They let them go. And they ain't drafting. They ain't good no big time free agents. They got in the guys say, hey, we got, and they not the greatest, but it's the collection of the group, dogs, and that's what Clark is talking about. We can get dogs, guys are dedicated, and not so frivolous and so all jumping around and all that. And hopefully that we can do that. Now this ain't gonna be about free agent. It's gonna be about getting the things that because if I was the owner, I'll be like, listen, man, it's not that you don't have no talent base here. You just got to get. We can't just go. We can't. I think talking about getting Max Cosby here, man, and I'm looking at the teams in this competitive plan for the championship, and they ain't got no 100,000 names on them. It might hurt them in the long run. Chicago Bears might get hurt in the long run because they don't have somebody consistent to be getting out the quarterback. But think about who they got. They're 11-4. But I'm 11 at what? 11-5, something like that. So it's about really playing football, and I hope y'all seeing this. Y'all hope y'all seeing this in this. And we got I'm gonna say it again so I can get off here, man, because I gotta try to get me some peas and rice and some collard greens. But let's check this out, man. We got two playoff games that's happened. We got a playoff game yesterday against Miami and Ohio State. Tough defenses. Matter of fact, Ohio State Miami shuts out Ohio State in the first half. We talking about teams that's averaging 30 to 35 points a game. Then they come out the second half and win a tough game, 24 to 14. Great defense, great hitting, some good offense as well. Wasn't like it was nobody, some great. Then we watch a game today where Oregon shuts out a good Texas Tech team. Shuts them out. Miami beat Texas A&M what 9-3, something like that. What it? And now we watching the Alabama Crimson Tide shut out. We in the fourth going in the fourth quarter, I think. So if y'all out there saying, oh, we got to give all this offense and spend 35, $40 million on two wide receivers at $30 million a piece, thinking that's gonna win you a Super Bowl, you better invest that money in some draft picks and get this young defense together and invest in putting some money into this defense. We see it all over this town. We watch a Philadelphia team that don't even complete a pass in the second half with some great wide receivers and win a game on the road in Buffalo against the former MVP. So all y'all out there talking about, well, you need to get weapons. Man, the weapons. We got to get draft offensive line. Man, you got a good enough offensive line. What you better do is you better get your mind and saying we finna knock people out. And we got a tough defense. I can always tell you can have an adequate offense in this league and a number one defense and be playing for a Super Bowl or be in the championship games. You can have a number one offense and a horrible defense, and you make the playoffs. You struggle to make the playoffs. You can have a top 3 defense and be division winners, compete for a Super Bowl every year with that. And I could give me Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and this offensive line and just an adequate running game and give me a number one defense, and they'll be killing people. Because then I ain't asking CeeDee Lamb them to do but make plays. They ain't got to go out there and no shootout. This going to be 24 points or 25 points a game. You could do that. That's a touchdown a quarter. And my defense is going to get probably 10 or 15 points for you because they're going to get turnovers. They're going to get pick sixes. And I can win a Super Bowl. But no, we want to do, we want to get 100,000 offensive guys. Church, you still in the chat? Church, I'm going to tell you this. And I'm going to see if Church agree with me. Right? And I'm going to see if the rest of y'all agree with me. When the draft comes, by the time we get in the draft, watch we be trying to draft another offensive lineman. We got to, okay, offensive line, we ain't going to develop. We just got to be ready-made. Or as soon as somebody talk about some great wide receiver, and we got 2 first-round draft picks, somebody gonna want to draft a wide receiver because they say we can't get him, and we assigned Pickens, and they were like, this guy could be the 3rd wide receiver. We talking about defense now, but as soon as we start draft time, we're gonna forget about defense. We're gonna try to get budget guys with defense, or we'll try to get a Cosby. And we get Cosby, we ain't gonna get nothing else. We don't need that. We're gonna go all offense because we're gonna think Cosby gonna fix it all. No. 24-3, a shutout. Every game you seeing tough defenses being tight up. But you know something? Somebody gonna write an article and say, you know what they're gonna say? That this playoffs is the worst playoffs in college football. This is God, because you're gonna get people who are non-sign football people gonna talk about, oh, if it ain't no offense, it ain't exciting. Defense has caught up to all these offenses. And with all the rule changes that they have tried to make and tried to make it so hard for defenses to play, defenses have still overcome all the rule changes and still are suffocating. Thank you. Great comment. Great comment. Great comment. New England won a Super Bowl that they ain't scored a touchdown. Tom Brady beat the Rams when he ain't scored a touchdown. Then Tom Brady had one of the best offensive games in the history of a losing quarterback against the Eagles. Do you ever remember that? Remember that? He threw for 300, almost 400 yards and all how many touchdowns against the Eagles, and he lost. Tom Brady should have lost the Super Bowl against the uh against the Seattle Seahawks. Great game, but he didn't win the game. Because if they didn't make the stop on the goal line, he would have won that. But we talk about defense, offense. Defense win championships, man. Because defense can do more things than the offense can ever do. Give me a great defense, and I'm going to be in contention every year. Give me a great offense with a horrible defense. Listen. The worst thing is somebody can say, "Man, we just want our defense to be in the middle of the pack, or at least at 20. If they're at 20, they quickly can fall to 32 on any given day. If they're at the top five, the farthest they're gonna fall in any given day is probably 10. You draft defense, every draft. Look at all the better teams. All the better teams draft more defensive players every year than they draft offensive players. You keep your defense reloaded with drafting. All your defense is low. Let me explain to this. You have a young, fast, eager defense, and you coach them to be a physical, aggressive style defense. You do that. Young defense, veteran offenses. That's why teams that have a offensive line that like this offensive line. I'll try to keep this offensive line together for 4 or 5 years. Some of these guys I keep for 7, 8, 10 years. I'll give me a veteran tight end. He ain't got to be no old guy. I can have veteran wide receivers that still somewhere in their prime. They can be in that. My quarterback has always been an older quarterback. We get a young running back, but you can get a veteran running back. You could see a old offense that knows how to do something. They can compete. But most of your defenses may have one veteran, maybe two, but a bunch of guys that are young, flying. That's how you build a defense. Young guys that keep them flying. You may have a one or two guys in there, but they gotta play young. But that's where you want to be. So think about it. And I'm gonna give you a little history and leave y'all alone. And I want y'all to take if y'all Cowboy fans, learn your history. Learn your history. When the Cowboys won the championship in the '70s, they had 11. They had a great draft. Most of those guys that they drafted was defensive guys. When Dan Quinn came here, we drafted 11 guys. I think we drafted 9 defensive guys. That was the best defense that Dan Quinn had here. Look at the stats. That's when we finished in the top 5 in scoring defense. That's when we finished top, I think, 12th in total defense that year. Coming from the worst defense in the history of the organization the year before. That's when Olsen was drafted. Michael Parsons was drafted. The guy that's at the other defensive lineman was drafted. We drafted 9 guys defensively. Guys, Quentin Bohanna. None of these guys I'm talking about. We talking about them being great guys. None of them was great guys, but collectively we changed the outlook. We brought in Curse. He hadn't started nowhere. but he was fresh and he became our starting safety. This is when we gave Donovan Wilson his first start when he was fresh in his first year of starting. That's when we brought Malik Hooker after he had gotten let go from um, Indianapolis, but he was younger. We gave Randy Gregory his first time to start. So he was basically a young guy. One of our best defenses. That's the year we went into the playoff and we 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 shut down the run when we was in the playoff, but we had too many penalties. But the defense played tough. Everybody forget that. And we drafted mostly defense and we played a lot of young guys in their first start, and that defense was good. Young. And in the 70s and in the 90s when we won a Super Bowl, we started a lot of guys in their first and second year. That defense was built. Only Charles Haley was the guy that we brought as a veteran. Everybody else on the defense in the 91, 92 year was 3 years or yet or less. Check it out, baby. Everybody want to remember when Deion Sanders came here, but we won 2 Super Bowls back to back without Deion. With a 2 year cornerback, Kevin Smith and and Brown on the other side from a HBCU. We brought a bunch of guys in. Thomas Everett and James Washington were young guys. They hadn't been in the league for about 2 or 3 years. That total defense was young. Know your history, Cowboy fans. And if you know your history, you will see that we had some great teams with young defenses and had a lot of guys where the offense didn't have to do as much. So when we get in this offseason, when I hear the first person talking about wide receiver, offensive line, and you got this many offensive linemen already signed, all your offensive linemen are signed to next year, and you could put them together and get more chemistry. All your tight ends are signed. If you sign Pickens, your top 3 wide receivers are signed. Veteran offenses get better. Keep those same group together, and they get better. And your backups will get better. Keep your offense intact. But let's go get defense and let's get it young and let it go fly and teach you to be aggressive. That's how teams win. We're gonna go as far as the defense is gonna take you. But as soon as we get in there, we're gonna start talking about wide receiver and talking about what we gotta do, where we gotta be more explosive. Man, listen here, people. I hope everybody's New Year's been going. I got. I hope my darling friend. This is the person that I love. That when she tells me, "Hey, coach, this. Hey, this is my rock. This is one that's doing the things for me that we are pushing. This is one that keeps me motivated to keep on going out. Hey, Jen. So thank you, baby. And we're gonna be coming out. Me and Jen is gonna be coming out just like I talk about defense. We're going to come out with these shirts because I got to get it hot because before everybody starts taking my idea. But defense is a weapon, and that's what we're going to be pumping this offseason. We're going to be pumping that defense is a weapon. So when everybody start talking about these weapons, we need to get more weapons. I'm going to tell you the defense is a weapon, and that's going to come from Coach Marv. Defense is a weapon. And we're gonna push that. I want to say this before I get off too. Some people gonna think I'm being hard on Diggs. Some people gonna say, Coach, you being mean to Diggs and you're glad that Diggs gone. And what I told you before the season started when they didn't kick in, Diggs knew and the Cowboys knew, regardless of what happened, that this was the last hurrah for Diggs. It was a contentious relationship. It should be. And I'm saying it again, should have been. It was a contentious relationship because when you have a young man trying to come off of injury like he did, trying to get back for his future, and he knows that the team is acting funny, and they know that this is probably the end of the road here. Um, it is going to be a bad. I am. I think for Diggs' sake, I'm happy the young man got a chance to be able to be to show he can play. I've said before, I didn't like the physicality of Diggs. I don't think I didn't like the physicality of Diggs because that's who Diggs was. Diggs is playing for my team that I love right now, and they're getting killed. I'm a Bama guy, and I know he didn't play with Bama. I know he was physical when he played with Bama because you couldn't play with Bama to not be. And I think he's going. Being in a new situation may bring that out, and he's going to go and he's going to make have a chance. I just hope that that knee can hold up because there's some problems there with that knee. But I hope it can hold up and the young man gets because that's not going to stop our chances of win. Not because we got rid of Diggs or Michael Parsons, because we can still win without Michael Parsons and without Diggs. But yes, he has spent his time here. I think he got the best break he can get. And that's why that's why I kept saying when he came back those two games, I wouldn't have came back. I would have played the role so I can get out of there. And he got cut, and that was even better. They didn't hold on to him and hold it because they could have held on to him all off season and then waited for him to cut him later on. But he was gonna let him go regardless. So good luck to the young man. I hope the young man does well. And I hope and my prayers are always for him because he got a lot of family out there that he has made. So I want him to do well because I always want to see the young man do well. But sometimes your time is up at a place. And he could do well, but that's not going to kill us from now. If we think, getting rid of a player that's going to stop us from doing what we need to do, then we in trouble then. So I hope the young man does well. Um, and I just want to say thank y'all for 2025, and we're gonna move into 26, and we're gonna try to be better and more productive in putting our stuff together. If you want to support the channel, I always say this: um, y'all are already supporting the channel by being in here on this New Year's Day. I'm glad I went on for a live for a little bit, Yup, but I want to make sure y'all understand that hey, we got something. What Clark was saying is about changing mentality and they want guys that's just dedicated to being not front runners and dedicated to grind out. Hopefully, we can go out this week and show that we can still play. I don't care what the Giants. I don't care if the Giants is 1-40. I don't. I want to keep my foot on their neck. I want it to be 18 straight. I want it to be 9 years straight. I want it to be 9 years straight of victories against them. I want to get to a whole decade. I want to be able to say that y'all ain't beat us in a decade. We're planning on doing some live screens, but remember, defense is a weapon, and defense are really showing their heads of being dominant. So when you go into this next year, if we got a dominant defense, we could probably compete. Like the to-do list down here in the corner has always been down here. We want you to click that like button. If you hadn't subscribed, please subscribe. And one we want you to do is enjoy. Enjoy that we're gonna talk. This is gonna be Coach Marv Real Talk. We're gonna come to you straight with no Novocaine. And we're not gonna be going back and debating. And we don't like to debate. We're gonna say something. And we're gonna give some reason why we say it. And if we wrong, we wrong. If we right, we right. But we gotta teach. We gotta have football into a point of knowing what's real about football, and what's not. And the more we try to move away and try to do stuff that's not real with football, that's a losing mentality. Until the next time, Cowboy players, Cowboy players, Cowboy coaches, get your mind on your work. One more job, 60 minutes. Get your mind on your work. to finish your job, finish your season strong. And as I always say at the end of my show, no one or nothing in 26 as well as 25 in any other year, no one or nothing can stop God's will. Peace. Godspeed.